Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Estelle and I like to sew, crochet, upcycle and DIY all I can. Today I have an exciting project lined up. My sister's birthday arrived and I was thinking of sewing her something. The best part is that she gave me an old and ripped sheet of hers, so I get to upcycle a bedsheet into some clothes. If you ever wondered how many clothes you can sew from just one bedsheet, today we're gonna find out. This is a standard queen-size bedsheet with double fabric for the duvet. It's made of 100% cotton, which is perfect for sewing clothes. The fabric is yellowed and torn in some parts, but it can still be used. I plan to use as much fabric as I can, testing how many projects can I make with this. Here comes a spoiler. This is how it started, and this is all the fabric that was left at the end. To maximize the fabric, I had to plan my cuts carefully. I've got some ideas, but we'll see how we can fix them all into this bedsheet. First, I took my sister's measurements and started sketching the patterns. We have a similar size and we often shared clothes, so I hope I can try the clothes on to see if adjustments need to be made. To make the most of the fabric, I unstitched all the seams and removed the buttons to use them later. I want to make different items of clothing to give to my sister as a birthday present, so she can mix and match with each other or seamlessly integrate with her existing wardrobe. I carefully design and draw all the patterns to cut the fabric for as many projects as possible. This step was crucial because it allowed me to maximize the use of the fabric. After cutting all the pieces, I decided to start by sewing something I haven't made before, a backless top. Well, it's not full backless because it has a tie bow at the back, but it shows a lot of back. Using a top base pattern with my sister's measures, I made some freestyle modifications on the paper to draw the long straps integrated, so I only have to sew 3 pieces: the front, the lining, and the thin strap to tie the front part of the neck. First, I prepared the neck strip, ironing the fabric to make my job easier when sewing the strip. I sew the front part with the lining pretty face with pretty face, leaving a space open to turn it out later. Then I close the opening by sewing a seam along all over the bottom of the top. To add the neck strip, I just folded the top chest fabric over, creating a space to slide the strip. I think this is the easiest piece I made, and it was surprising how well it fit, especially considering it was an improvised pattern. I will have to make one for myself. Next, I wanted to remake this top, because I made this one for myself on my Christmas holidays, and I didn't film anything. I actually wear it a lot now that it's hot outside. I'm going to make some adjustments though. This top squeezes my chest a little, so I will make it more adaptable, changing the side pieces for some cute ties that she can adjust. The main body of the top is easy to sew, since it consists of just 2 pieces for the top and the 2 for the lining. The challenge lies in knowing when to add the straps. I made these mistakes a few times, but eventually I figured it out. When we turn it out, the straps emerge from the inside to the outside, instead of being trapped inside the lining. I had to make this for the front and the back pieces. I also made a seam on the shoulders to join the two pieces together. And it's done. I was really excited to start this skirt because I was investigating and there are so many ways of making skirts. I had no idea. I browsed and saved some ideas on my Pinterest and then decided to go for an A-line skirt with elastic band on the hip. I think putting elastics on everything instead of buttons or zippers, it's my beginner flag. I'm so glad I'm learning how to sew because I love making handmade gifts. I find them more personal and thoughtful. It seems like it takes too much time, but I would rather spend 5 hours sewing something than spending 3 hours going to the mall, getting lost among so many stores, so many options, too many people. This takes my energy away, while making a gift by hand stimulates me and I'm always looking forward to getting my hands on the project. This skirt reminds me of my grandmother. She was always wearing these modest skirts. I remember her sewing on the dining room table, mending rags or holes on some socks. I like to watch what she made and admire her thimble and other treasures from her sewing box. We lost her from leukemia when I was 19 years old. To remember her, I got to keep her old sewing machine. It was one of those sturdy ones fitted on a wooden table with an iron pedal. I tried to learn by myself, but I had no idea what I was doing. Plus, the sewing machine was so old and poorly maintained that I could barely sew 3 stitches before it collapsed. I had no one to teach me, so sadly we eventually ended up giving it away. It doesn't matter now, because I can feel she would be very proud and happy that I'm sewing now. For the next project I wanted to make something tight, which is more my sister's style. I actually made a skirt like this in sewing class, so I reused the pattern, altering to my sister's size and shortening the length. This skirt's pattern is quite simple. It has 4 pleats, 2 in the front and 2 in the back. I told you before that I was sad not to keep my grandmother's sewing machine, but I feel happy to be using my partner's grandmother's sewing machine. I had no sewing machine to start learning, and the family let me use one of hers. I didn't get to know her, but I feel very grateful for everything that I'm learning with it. My mother-in-law and her sister gave me a lot of sewing supplies, like thread, needles, and tons of zippers. I'm using one of these zippers for the skirt. The white ones didn't match the yellowish fabric, so I chose a grey one, matching the flowers of the print. To sew the zipper, I had left one side of the skirt open. I also had to save a little margin at the top, so I could make the waist later. My sister came home one day and tried on her skirt, and it was too big for her, so we had to lengthen the pleats in the back. It looks quite good. What do you think? After sewing the tops and the skirts, I still had a lot of fabric, so I thought I could recreate the dress I made on my van trip to the French countryside, but adding a little spicy to the design. My style is soft with grandma vibes, but my sister is much sexier. I thought of adding a sexy leg opening and make the straps of the top very long and exaggerated to draw some attention. This was supposed to be an easy piece because I already made this dress, but this project was a headache. I kept changing my minds on the design and I've used a little of the freestyle sewing. I guess I was tired after the other projects and didn't base the pieces, resulting in an unflattering dress. I tried to make an opening under the chest to make it different to my dress and it was hideous. I also tried wherever is this, which I'd rather not talk about. In the end, I went back to the original idea of recreating my dress, with the straps and the leg opening. To make it different from the other pieces, I wanted to try and dye it to black. This was a little scary and sadly it didn't work perfectly, but the color looks really nice with the flowers still visible. After the dress odyssey, I wanted to shift and make some accessories instead of clothes. I wanted to start with sewing something easy like a phone pouch. First, I cutted 2 pieces of fabric, then cutted 2 pieces of lining fabric to the same dimensions. In between these layers, I added a piece of batting to add some protection to the phone. Then I placed the main fabric pieces right sides together and did the same with the lining pieces.
Hello, I can't shake the simplest feeling beyond the ghost. We stand on the opposite shore. Hello, motor. I reach through mysterious ceilings. My only hope. I look for the things I don't know.
I used one of the original sheet buttons to make a closure. When I finished, I added the pouch to the pile of projects that I would dye in black. The next project is a baguette bag, which I will also make in black. I used the bag I have to make the pattern, making 4 pieces for the sides, 2 for the base, and 1 for the strap. I also used a piece of fusible interfacing for the base to make it more resistant. At this point, I had to look back into the straps to find pieces big enough for the bag, making sure I use most of the fabric. I will link the tutorial I used to make this baguette bag, in case you want to make one too. I'm making these small cuts to mark the center of each piece. This zipper is reused from old clothes. My partner's aunt gave me a full bag of saved zippers. To close the bag, I chose a black zipper because I will dye the fabric to black.
Heartbeats, all is silence, darkness in the street. We cut off the violence and put it to sleep. I can hear you breathing, feel you next to me. Heartbeats, all is silence, can't believe we're kissed. Thinking it's time to shine, we may give it all I want is you.
This is how the Baguette bag looked in white, and this is how it looks in black after dyeing it. Much better, don't you think? At last, I wanted to make something practical for her home, so I cutted 2 big rectangles and made 2 pillowcases, reusing the buttonholes and buttons from the bedsheet. After this, I still had fabric. It seemed to me that I would never finish with it, but I told myself that I would use all I could, so I was going to be true to my word. I used the small pieces of fabric to make her an eye mask and some scrunchies. The scrunchies didn't respond very well to the fabric and ended up a little ugly and stiff, but the quilted eye mask looks great. Then I used one of my bandanas as a model to make her one. I cut the triangle and made seams on the edges. I also made 2 thin straps.
Hold me now, let it out, I know we found our home. Thinking it's time to shine, we may give it all I want is you.
I was running out of ideas when I thought of making something for her dogs. She has 4. They will look lovely with some neck bandanas matching her new clothes. For this, I cut 4 rectangles and I was running out of fabric, so instead of hemming them so they wouldn't be smaller, I just added a zigzag on the edges to prevent them from fraying. After this one last project, I only had small scraps of fabric and decided to keep them to make projects for myself. I dyed it all green and prepared the big pieces to make a cover for my ebook and a glasses case for my partner. The smallest pieces will serve for my future patchwork projects, so I ironed and stored them in my scraps box. These are the pieces that have become too small to use, but I will keep them as filler anyway. Everyone say hello to my sister Selena and wish her a happy birthday. Of course, she had to be my model for the reveal. Here she is wearing the skirt with the crop top as a chic outfit for the day. And of course, she can easily mix this top with some jeans or a short skirt. And when the night comes, she can add some spice, changing to the backless top. Here's the long skirt. This is my favorite combination, especially when it matches the dog's bandanas. Here she is with her set matching the scarves of her 4 dogs. It's the most charming scene. Everyone looks so lovely. The 2 weeks spent sewing and the 3 weeks editing this video were definitely worth it, although it was a lot of work. And for special occasions, with the black dress, she will make a big entrance for sure. Thanks for watching. Adeu!